Hey everybody, it's Daddy1424, the MediaPurchaseGuide.com, where you can get all your reviews updated daily, so make sure to head over there and see what's new today, as well as get all your tech update and news. But today we have the Galaxy S4 review. First things first, remember to like, 2 thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, leave some comments down below. That is crucially important because the more comments you leave, the more videos I can continue to put out, especially if it's a product or a video request that you want to see. So let's go ahead and get to the Galaxy S4. It's going to be a little bit of a different video, somewhat of a review, also throwing in some tips and tricks on how to optimize the performance of your S4, as well as battery life and so forth and so on. So let's go ahead and get to this review of the Galaxy S4. So first thing we will start with is the exterior of the device. This is a 5-inch touch capacitive screen, of course a pixel of 441, that is pixels per inch, with a super AMOLED screen at 1080p by 1920. So of course it's giving you full 1080p image. Your front facing camera, I believe, is a 1.9 megapixel to 2.1, I can't remember off the top of my head. And of course you have your sensors. On the back you have a 13 megapixel, yes I did say 13 megapixel camera. That gives you a lot of different cool, unique shooting modes and different things that you can do, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later on. On the bottom, of course, you have your speakers, you have your IR blaster on the top of the device here, sorry, right there, and then your 3.5mm jack, multiple speakers located both on the top and the bottom, your volume rocker, and of course your power button and your flash. So if you want to separate this from the Galaxy S3, some of the things you'll notice is that this is actually a flat bezel. On the Galaxy S3 it actually is a curved, it kind of just actually curves like that. And one of the other things you can actually do to spot a Galaxy S3 from a Galaxy S4 is you'll actually be able to, sorry, just fixing the camera there. Notice that their flash is actually moved. So it used to be located on the side with another item located here. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. And then of course you have your camera here and your flash down below. So that's just one way that you can spot the differences between a Galaxy S3 and a Galaxy S4. But also it comes with a removable battery that is a 26 milliamp battery, or 2600 milliamp battery. And it comes with a micro SD, so if you want to expand your memory, and of course your SIM card slot. And on the back here, you can obviously replace it with things like the S cover or the S View covers, but that is actually different, and they're quite actually nice accessories. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later on. So let's go ahead and get to the review and the performance of the device itself. I'm going to go ahead and just snap this back on. And let's get to the performance. So one of the first things you'll notice is that this does run Android 4.2.2. That is the latest iteration of Android, and of course that offers you things like lock screen widgets. You just have to slide down just like I did there, and then you can navigate left or right, accessing your widgets, and it's not necessarily going to be swipe to the right and access your camera like standard Android does, which is kind of a nice feature. So we'll go ahead and unlock the device, and I will run a benchmark, and we will see what we pull back. Now benchmarks have been variant. This is using Quadrics standard. One of the things that I've come to believe is that the device is consistently turning certain features and applications on and off, and sometimes you'll notice that when you're doing it, when the features are off, you'll get a higher benchmark than when they're on. Now this is my personal speculation, just because sometimes you'll run a benchmark and it will come back at 12,000 to 13,000, sometimes even higher. Other times you're going to come back a little bit lower, you're going to come back in the 10,000, 9,000 range. So to me that just indicates that there might be different applications running consistently in the background that boot up on their own, even when you clear that cache or clear the memory and then run the test. But this looks to be running pretty good. You can usually tell by an indicator from the frames per second. Just looking at the 60 frames per second, now we're running 37 and 38 frames per second. So the performance on this device is definitely unequivocally an amazing device. So let's look at what we scored here. This is 12,440, so a little bit of a higher end result or an average result depending on what you get. Now this is the North American variant. It doesn't have the octa-core. It does have a 1.9 gigahertz quad-core processor, obviously combined with 2 gigs of RAM, so you're going to get a speedy performance. And this comes with the new Snapdragon, I believe it is 600 or 800 processor. I can't believe I'll remember off the top of my head there, so if you know, leave it down in the comment section below. But I do believe it is the Snapdragon 600 processor. In any case scenario, let's go ahead. So performance we talked about being very snappy, the ability to access your notifications and slide on with 2 fingers, and have these quick panel settings built in here as well. Now as for the gestures, they are a little bit gimmicky, being able to navigate or scroll a page. They don't work all the time. That has to be one of my complaints with this device. But one of the things I do love is just being able to go in and access my calendar and do an air view. And air view is just quite handy, I have to say. I love it for text messaging that's hovering your finger. Obviously this was available on the Note 2, and now it's come over to the Galaxy S4, but it's just a little bit simpler because you're not required to use your pen to do that there. So some of the things you're going to get that are quite nice or quite unique is this thing called Story Album here, where essentially you can go into your gallery and select and create this scrapbookish kind of feeling, if you want to do it and so forth and so on like that there. I'm not going to get too much into that though. Obviously, you're going to have your email obviously built in here, Gmail, and your native Samsung stuff. There's a lot of Samsung stuff built in here too. Like obviously there's Samsung Hub, Samsung Axe, Samsung Link, S Health, which is another great feature, which is, we'll see if I have the widget set up here. Here, so you can actually track the amount of steps that you're walking, input things like your food. Everyone is so health conscious nowadays. Let's see here. Last week I was walking a lot, so I was doing about 10,000 steps on a day, so that's pretty good. And it shows you your distance, so 9.22 kilometers and 738 calories burned. So that's great if you're trying to lose that weight. Other than that, let's go ahead and talk about some tips to actually speed up the performance of your device. One of the things the device does come with natively is obviously the ability for S-Voice. Now, you'll notice if you double tap your home screen, usually what will happen is we'll boot into the S-Voice. What you want to do is actually, if you actually want to increase your performance of the device, you're going to actually turn that off. So you go into your S-Voice, you'll hit the menu key when it does come up, you go into settings, and you'll see it says open via home key. You'll disable that. Once you do that, it will allow it to be snappier and quicker like that is there, and just give you an overall better responsiveness because it's not always looking for you to double tap that home key to access S-Voice. So I'm just going to adjust the camera here, just give me a second. So one of the other things you can actually do to actually increase the performance of your device here is you can actually go into menu and go into settings, and let's see if we can find it here. You go to more, and you'll tap developer options numerous times. Now what will happen when you do that is actually access or give you access to actually go into the developer options like I have. Now what you can do is you can scroll down to the window animation scale, transition animation scale, and animation duration scale, and you can actually set them to off. I think at default they're set at about 1.5x, and you want to turn that to off because that will allow it to be snappier. What you can also do is you can actually click this here, use 2D hardware acceleration in applications. That will tend to be a little bit faster as well. I personally don't have that set up myself, but I'm happy with the performance of my device. So really for me, it's not too much of an issue. Now with the Galaxy S4, you do get things like the ability to turn on your power saving mode. You can see that I do have it on. That will extend your battery life to about 12 to 14 hours. So, giving you a little bit more of a push, depending on obviously your usage and how much you're actually pushing your device. Other than that though, you do have things we talked about like the integration of the IR Blaster, and this is the Watch On app, and this will actually allow you to also integrate things like your Netflix account. So it'll tell you what's on TV, and you can obviously go in and say, I want to look for movies, what movies are playing right now. And then you can actually choose to record them or to change the channel to it. So you'll see that some of them come up as Netflix, but if I go across and see what's on TV right now. Looks like there's no movies on. Let's just go just for you. So there we go. If I want to watch Criminal Minds, you can see I have the option to record it or the option to watch now. That doesn't work now, unfortunately, if you're away from your PVR, at least in North America or in Canada, it doesn't work. But, maybe in the future they'll bring that around. Other than that, though, again, it is a fast device. It has tons and tons of features. A lot of them are gimmicky, but if I had to compare it to a device like the HTC One, I would actually prefer it because some of the devices or features, my apologies, that I'm using on a day-to-day, like the S-Voice and, the Mini today, for example, my calendar up here to get my to-do list, and the overall performance of it just being a little bit quicker, and actually the feel in the hand, for me, is preferable. The HTC One has a premium build quality, and undoubtedly, unquestionably, it is an amazing device. One of my concerns with the HTC One is the ability to update. They launched the device at 4.1.2 and they didn't launch it at 4.2.2 like this did. So that the software, usually each phone gets about 2 to 3 updates. So based on that, said scenario there, if HTC One goes to 4.2.2 and then 4.3, that might be the end of the device. But if we go and we start with a device that's natively at 4.2.2, you're probably going to go to 4.3 and then maybe beyond that there because they usually give each device about 2. Now, as for accessories for the device, you can get things like an outer box case, which I do have here. It gives you, great impact resistance. It obviously does add a little bit of bulk to your phone, but at the end of the day, if you drop your phone, you're going to be safe. Or you can get something simple like this, which is a flip cover, pretty standard. It does replace the back. Or you can get the new ones, which are the S View, and they have like a window actually here, and it will allow you to answer calls. Let's see if I throw the phone into standby mode and I wave my hand over top here. Usually it works, and of course today it's not going to work. Okay, it's not working. I guess I might have actually turned the option off, but usually if you have the option turned on and you wave your hand across, it will give you a quick glance at some of the settings like your battery life and if you have any via text messages or anything that you need to look at. With the S View cover, that will enhance that experience. It will have that always displaying. It will also give you access if you get a call, just be able to slide across because it does have a little bit of a window in it here. But it does retail at a higher price, and that's $59. So at the end of the day, you guys got to make the decision. As for the Galaxy S4, at the MediaPurchaseGuide.com, we actually definitely approve this device. I gave it a 9.1. You can head over to the MediaPurchaseGuide.com and check out our review in depth more there. And you can also look at an article we had up between the HTC One and the Samsung Galaxy S4. So other than that, make sure to head over to the website daily. Leave some comments down below. We hope you guys enjoyed the Galaxy S4 review / tips and tricks on how to increase your battery life. I hope we've given you some pointers you can valuably use. And beyond that, hopefully you guys can leave some comments down below. We're going to hit a little bit of a dry spell, and I want to try and get some more products out to you. So the more that you guys can recommend some products that I do, the more videos I can put out in turn. So again, let me know. Other than that, I might see you guys in the next 2 to 3 weeks because we are hitting that dry spell. So stay with me. Keep subscribing. I'll be back, guys. See you soon. Take care. Daddy1424. Peace. Love.